I was watching a clip from an Asmongold video, one of the most baby-brained streamers for the most baby-brained people, and in the clip he was discussing the backlash surrounding the recent gameplay trailer for the Silent Hill 2 remake. He made it seem like the crux of the backlash is the fact that certain characters in the remake are not as attractive as they were, supposedly, in the original. And when I looked at the comments under the gameplay trailer, it seemed like most of the top comments were complaining about janky-looking animations, or the setting being too bright, which goes against the tone of the original game. Now, I can't really talk about the game itself too much because I have never played the original, nor have I ever played any Silent Hill game. I know, I'm missing out as someone who loves the Resident Evil franchise so goddamn much. I know I would probably love the Silent Hill games as well. Thank Konami for not making these games widely available. Anyway, what I want to discuss in this video is a very stupid point that Asmongold made. Like I said before, he made it seem like the backlash against this game revolved around people just not finding certain characters as attractive as they were in the original. He said that people need to understand that a majority of people who play video games are guys, and the Silent Hill games are games that mostly appeal to men, supposedly. He of course doesn't deny that there are women who play video games, but he says there are games that appeal to women and games that appeal to guys. And men don't like it when female characters aren't hot anymore, so therefore that's why people are upset about this remake. Again, ignoring the other reasons that people are upset about the remake that I brought up earlier. I just find this point so stupid because what the fuck is this, 1987? Video games aren't this niche medium anymore. The industry has evolved to a point where it has mass appeal to many people regardless of what gender they identify as. On top of that, I am so tired of interests, hobbies, pieces of media, etc. being put in these stupid fucking boxes. These things are primarily for girls. These things are primarily for boys. Says who? Rhetoric like what Asmongold was spewing in that clip only help perpetuate outdated social norms that oftentimes harm those who want to skew away from said norms. And I know what some people like him may say, well, that doesn't mean that I personally think that just because you were born a guy, you have to only like things that typically cater to guys, and vice versa. It doesn't really matter what you personally think, the issue lies with what you are saying on your large platform. How many boys have been ridiculed for showcasing interest in activities or enjoying media that are seen as quote-unquote girly? You can't even count the exact number of times because this has happened countless times throughout generations. I used to have this little star-shaped notepad you could fit in the palm of your hand that I used to love writing in as a kid. My love for writing manifested pretty much around the same time I learned how to read and write. And I got this notepad around the same time. Now what was the problem with this notepad, supposedly? The words girl power were on the cover. I could barely read at this time and I didn't know what the fuck gender norms were because I was like 4 years old. I just liked the way the notepad was shaped. My mom bought it for me and my dad gave me shit for having it. He was like, "Why are you writing in that? That's for girls." And I'd be like, what? My father was very tough on me when it came to instilling into me how men act and what men are into. It got to the point where for a very long time, even into adulthood, I was very insecure when it came to displaying vulnerability, like crying in front of people, for example, because I felt that would be compromising my masculinity, quote-unquote. My father was likely projecting onto me what he was told as a kid. Men act this way, men have these sorts of interests. Kinda like what Asmongold is saying in the clip I'm referencing. There are girl games and there are boy games. It's all just socially constructed nonsense. Humans are not just black and white caricatures. We are far more complex than what gender stereotypes like to suggest. We are capable of having a wide array of interests regardless of who said interests may typically cater to. To me, that's what makes people interesting. Someone may have a hobby or a piece of media that they like that you wouldn't expect them to be into. I think it's high time we finally do away with this stupid minimalist line of thought that certain things have to be for boys and certain things have to be for girls. It needlessly puts us all in a box and limits us on what we're allowed to be interested in, all based on what? A set of genitalia we happen to be born with? Now, I personally don't want to put makeup on my face, not because I think it's a girls only thing, but because I don't like the idea of goop being on my face. It sounds like sensory overload. autism moment. But if a guy wants to put makeup on, I don't give a single shit. Doesn't affect my life in the least bit. In fact, I would pin him as braver than any other guy who puts on this fake macho attitude and disparage other guys for being interested in things that are seen as traditionally feminine. Because that guy putting makeup on his face is staying true to who he really is and what interests he has, than people like you who are so fragile when it comes to your masculinity that you just cannot stand the sight of another man choosing to drift away from gender norms they personally do not ascribe to. My philosophy is life is way too goddamn short to police what other people are interested in. If you want to stick true to quote-unquote true masculinity, go right the fuck ahead. Live life how you choose to. Just don't impose nonsense about how certain things are reserved for one gender, because that is just plain bullshit. There will always be a set of people who are into traditionally feminine things even though they're a guy, or traditionally masculine things even though they're a girl. And regurgitating talking points about how certain things are for guys and certain things are for girls does nothing but help needless ridicule against those who don't have traditionally masculine interests or traditionally feminine interests continue. People enjoy what they choose to enjoy, and so long as no one is being harmed in the process, I say, who cares if they may be interested in something you didn't expect them to be interested in? Let's finally put these bullshit norms to bed and let people be. That's all I have to say. Bye-bye.